Let's get that on video, why don't we? Welcome to the Random Encounter Show. I'm Jeff Stalker 5. In this episode, I don't really know how it's going to go. Yeah, just to be honest, I'm not sure how I want to film this. I've been trying to think about it and figure out ways. I don't know, so I give up. I don't even know if the episode's going to be possible at this point. Yeah? But we're going to push forward. Bravely. Bravely push forward. You know, this audience is the bravest audience on YouTube. I love you guys. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at something that's been sitting in a closet for almost 40 years. And I don't know if this thing is even working. Yeah? It is a Texas Instruments home computer, also known as a TI-99-4A. I've been looking at one of these for a while, you know, because you know I love my classic video game collection and playing, and so this was definitely on the list. This is the first 16-bit home computer released. I'm going to do my best not to go down into Nerdville too far, you know, but I figured before we get on the table and take a look at the actual computer, and before we hook it up and test it for the first time, because we just got our video cable in that we needed to test with, I would talk about it briefly. The TI-99-4 was the original model. It was released in 1979. The 4A was a revision of the TI-99-4 released in June 1981. The reason I've been looking for this and looking at it is, you know, I love the Intellivision and the Intellivision game library. The TI-99 was a contemporary of the Intellivision, but it had a lot of, I don't know, similarities with the Intellivision, if you want to call them that. First off, they both had the 16-bit CPUs, you know, so that's interesting. But the game libraries are very similar in ways. I think it's mostly because when Mattel hit the market and when Texas Instruments hit the market, companies like Atari had already locked down the big arcade licenses. So therefore, you weren't going to see the big arcade games released anywhere but on the Atari consoles, or where Atari would eventually publish them. And of course, Atari published them on the Intellivision. Sorry, I made the mistake and had a diet soda before coming on. So get ready to go to Burtville along with Nerdville. Yeah? Maybe I can hold them back. Anyways, Atari would publish their arcade license hits such as Pac-Man and Centipede and such games on both the Intellivision and the TI-99. Now, where the TI-99 and the Intellivision differ, not just from the physical hardware, you know, the TI-99 is more of a computer, the Intellivision was more of a consoleized computer that could be turned back into a computer. Did that make any sense? I don't know. Anyways, other than the physical appearance, the TI-99 had vastly superior hardware under the hood. The Intellivision, I think, had 4K RAM available, where the TI-99 came with 16K natively and could be expanded to 32K. So, also the TI-99's graphics card. The TMS 99, I can't remember the number. Okay, I'm not that much of a geek, you know. But their graphics card, this is the 1980s, early 80s. The graphics chip, please. The graphics chip used for the Texas Instruments TI-99 would go on to be later used in the ColecoVision and the Atom computer from Coleco, along with being used in some of Sega's early consoles in Japan, the SG-1000 through 3000 series. So graphically, it had a little more power, but in memory, It had a lot more power than the Intellivision. Therefore, some of the games that are either ports from each other or similar games, the TI-99 4A normally, the games that were ported there, let's take Microsurgeon, a game we don't have yet. I'm looking for it, okay? It's on the top of the list. I've bought a few things for this outside the bundle we got, but I haven't found Microsurgeon with a manual and such. But Microsurgeon, you know, it appeared on the Intellivision, and it's a fantastic game and one of my favorite games on the Intellivision. But on the TI-99, as we'll see in a future episode, it's on a whole nother level. It's on a whole nother level. A whole lot more going on to the game with voice, different screens, animation, all kind of stuff. And that was sort of the case, and we'll talk about that more here in a little while when we take a look at our bundles, some games that are similar to some Intellivision games. I don't have a heck of a lot of games, and I think we'll test probably 3 today. Anyways, I sort of count the TI-99 4A as the Super Intellivision. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. And I'm praying this thing works. Before we go over to the table, and I get behind the camera and give you a bird's eye view of all the stuff we got in the package and the stuff we bought, I wanted to mention that I actually do have some experience with the TI-99, if you can count it as experience. I remember in the first grade, we used the beige model TI, which was a later model of the TI-99 4A. It was all plastic and stuff. We used that model though in first grade along with a cassette drive and played some kind of educational games like addition and subtraction or spelling or something. I think one of them you were, for some reason, going through a forest, and the other one you, if I remember correctly, I don't know because we messed around with so many computers back then. We had a computer lab and I was always glued to it. But there was another game where you were building a rocket ship or flying the ship or something. I can't remember. But I do distinctly remember using the TI-99 4A at school. So, because I remember the speech was impressive on it. You know, that it was memorable. Anyways, guys, if you're still here, if you survived that opening monologue, yeah, I don't know, you deserve a medal. And if you're still awake, you know, you definitely deserve a medal. But let me flip the camera around here and quit boring you to death. And let me bore you to death by looking at the computer before we actually play it, okay? Let's go. So here we have the computer itself. I got a bunch of stuff laid here on the table. But we've got the first model of the TI-99 4A. Very clean copy. It's got a few little dings there from storage. I think something must have been stacked on it. But it's the classic aluminum or metal chassis with the dark plastic. Definitely the model you want to look for if you're going to be buying one of these. The beige model's built a bit cheaper. The boards inside are a bit cheaper, and there's even a few of them that have lockout boards inside of them where they lock out some of the third-party cartridges. Not a fun experience if you want to enjoy this for gaming. The keyboard on this is fantastic. Maybe one of the best feeling keyboards I've ever used. And the keyboard's pretty typical of a late 70s, early 80s keyboard. If we turn it around here, we've got our power switch. Now, I do know that this unit will power on. I've seen the red light, so that's a good indicator, no pun intended, or a good indication, I should say, that the console's working. If we turn it over its side here, we have an expansion port for sidecars and for floppy drives and all kind of stuff. Here is your cartridge port for your games and programs that come on what they called solid state software, aka a cartridge. This is your coffee warmer, by the way. CPU and such is located under here. It gets warm. I don't think it was meant as a coffee warmer, but that's what it's affectionately called. On the back here, we've got our power cable. We've got our cassette drive cable. It looks like a joystick port. Threw me for a second, but that's actually for the cassette drive. Over here, we've got a DIN 5-pin out for video. And over here, we have a single joystick port, which actually there's only one joystick port, but you can but it actually operates 2 joysticks out of the one port. I found that to be fairly interesting. Along with the computer, This was all in the box. Let's see what we got here. I thought this was really nice to have. The original owners, we got to give them kudos. You know, they took all of the original paperwork for the computer and they put it inside of a nice 3-ring binder. They even included all the brochures and such that came with the computer. And they had purchased a beginner's guide to basic programming for the TI-99 built-in basic programming language. So those things are pretty nice to have, actually. Here we've got a power cable, which we're going to need to hook this thing up. Yeah, nothing too exciting there. If we don't tear the camera down. Here we actually have the included RF modulator. And if you're wondering about why I wasn't able to test this, I'll show you. If I can get it out of the plastic here, that might be a nightmare to get back in. Who knows? But here's your RF modulator. But instead of a coaxial, it actually comes out to the 2-prong screw connector. And we don't have a TV here that you can use this on. And I know they make some kind of adapter to use this for RF. I said, what's the point? Because I was able to track down a DIN AV component out. So this will give us a much better connection than the RF out. So yeah, why bother finding adapters for RF out when we can do this straight into the computer? The important note, if you go this route, make sure your DIN is 5-prong on the inside. Yeah? Another little interesting tidbit here. There was a recall. There's some people's names and address from the early 80s. If you know them, tell them thank you. There was a recall on the power supply for the TI-99 4A, and you got this little bit. Yeah? Interesting little piece that was sent in the mail to the people who own this. Apparently your TI-99 will catch fire if you don't use this bit. So of course we're not going to bother using this bit, because if the TI-99 was to catch fire, hey, maybe we can get some views around here. Who knows? Here is our dual cassette cable. Yeah, that plugs in and you can use a cassette drive. Here we go. This is something we're going to use. So let's pop this open here. Oh, we don't need the instructions and such, I don't think. It's pretty neat how all this stuff, like I said, I don't know how much this computer actually got used, because everything's still boxed and looking in really good shape. It doesn't come across as a heavily used computer to me. But this is the speech synthesizer. This actually plugs in directly into our side port here. And as you can see, we're now good to go. It's still got a warning sticker on it. Interesting. Yeah. You got a coffee warmer, and this is for creamer and sugar. This little thing here, in case you needed to know that. Hey, if this thing catches fire, that's a good coffee warmer, right? Who knows? We're going to find out soon. While we're at it, let's go ahead and plug in. We'll wait on that. We'll plug in the power. Why not? Stick to it. We'll go ahead and start hooking this up as we talk about it. There we go. So, where's our video cable? There we go. Let me unroll this thing out. And we will plug that in right there. Good. Successful. Okay. So we're getting it all set up here. Another thing that came with this console, still in the box here, and we will, I don't know, we'll probably skip using these actually, but I'll show them to you. It's the joysticks that Texas Instruments built for their computer. Not very impressive joysticks, to be honest, but as you can see, both joysticks go to the single in. But one button standard joystick, but it really doesn't feel all that great enough. I just don't imagine this is a fantastic joystick to use. And according to most TI-99 enthusiasts, they call them the sticks of pain. But yeah, it just does not feel responsive. It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe we'll play with them, but we don't have to. And one of the big reasons that I went for this bundle was that it includes this, and this is something that's getting harder to find. It's a Wico command control. You actually plug this in to the joystick port on the computer, and what it does is allow you to play, or not play, but use the Atari style joysticks from the Atari 2600, the 7800, the Atari 8-bit computers, or any that really use the sort of standard Atari joystick plug. We're actually going to be using a modern Hyperkin Trooper stick for our computer here. Let's see. I don't know what side we should plug into. I guess we'll find out as we go. But that will get us set up. Let's talk about some games that came with the box. Well, not all games. We got Bridge Bidding 1 and 2 on cassette. Yeah, not so interesting. Those will probably go over to eBay. Let's see. We got Amazing. And one thing I noticed about these TI boxes is they weren't very exciting. In fact, they're probably the most boring game boxes I've ever seen. Yeah? The only indication of the game is just this insert, which is actually the manual here. All the backs are the same. Yeah, just pretty generically boring. We got football. Yeah? Nothing too exciting yet. Then we come to this one. This one's actually pretty exciting. Tunnels of Doom. This is, if you watched our episode on the Intellivision or you've played the Intellivision, your Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Treasure of Tarman game, which is a first-person dungeon crawler. This came out the same year. It's very much akin to that game. Pretty boring manual, but a thick manual. But it's very much akin to that game. Here's the cartridge itself. They sort of look like Famicom cartridges. This one actually required the cartridge and the cassette. Now, speaking on cassettes, we're not going to actually test this game per se, because I haven't read the manual and everything. But speaking of cassettes, we actually bought a cassette drive. Here we go. Now, I could do a whole episode on the cassette drive itself. This is a pretty amazing cassette drive. It's packed with a lot of features. It has a speaker. It has a microphone. It has a lot of features that the Atari cassette drives and such that I have, they just don't have. It also has DC in, battery operation, AC in. So yeah, this is actually packed full. And the neat thing is that it will allow us to, we can use it to hear what data sounds like. You guys ever heard what data sounds like coming off of a cassette, a game cassette? This is data. It plays the data, and this computer hears the data and interprets it. Let me plug this in 1 second. I'll let you hear what it sounds like. Okay, got her plugged in. So let's get her. Let's see what a role-playing game sounds like coming off. The data sounds like coming off a cassette drive in the early 80s. In 82, huh? So we get that set up and we hit play. Okay, what are you trying to do? Get me a copy strike? Oh my goodness, gonna give us a copyright strike. But that's how awesome that is. Yeah? That's how you knew your gaming was going to be good, huh? Alright guys, cleaned up here a little bit. The last game we got in our bundle was the killer app, from what I hear. It's a horizontal shooter called Parsec. And this one we will definitely test out in this episode. How we're not going to look at the killer app. This will also let us know if our speech synthesizer works. Now, Tunnels of Doom looks awesome, and I definitely want to play that and test out the cassette drive and stuff. It definitely sounds awesome. It's got some of the best game music. But, yeah, I definitely want to test it out and such. But looking at how thick the manual and everything is, I really don't have time this evening to sit down and really study how to play that game. So we'll definitely just devote an episode to it once I do. But there's the Parsec cartridge and manual. Now, 2 more games that I purchased separately from the bundle deal. The first game, Centipede. Yeah? Let me go get something that we bought as well, and we'll set up here and we'll just go ahead and test it, because Centipede is sort of my gold standard game that I test all consoles with. If I get a new console or a new classic console or a computer, for whatever reason, Centipede's normally the first game I put into it, and it tells me a whole lot about what's going on here. So, be right back. Alright guys, we're getting towards setup. As you can see, I bought a small CRT TV to use for the show. Now, of course, we'll still use our Sony Trinitron 36-inch monster CRT TV. But honestly, it's hard to take the camera rig and the setup and everything upstairs and downstairs and all this to do videos. So I went out and found a great little 13-inch TV to use here on the table, you know, that we can hook up and do some quick gaming. Now, I know a lot of people don't like videoing these TVs and stuff, and I don't know if I do either, to be honest. I've got a few setting tricks I'm going to try to use for the camera to properly catch this, but with the capture card, I noticed that because of the tricks that developers and programmers used back in the day for video games, capture cards are normally terrible at capturing this era of video games. There'll be stuff missing off the screen, there'll be warping, there'll be artifacts. It just doesn't look great, and it just doesn't represent the game well. So we're just going to have to put up experimenting with the CRT TV. So I believe if we hook up, our yellow is our video, and on the pinout, our black should be audio. Yeah, this is the big testing, guys. Does it catch fire? Does it explode? Does it work? Does it fizzle? Is it a huge disappointment? I don't know. Let's get our TV on. Oh, and let's see what happens, guys. Let's slide in Centipede. Let's see where our volume and stuff is. Should be fine. I don't know. I don't know how loud that is. I haven't really used this TV. I hooked the Intellivision to it for a while. And don't pay attention to the screen right now. We're just seeing if this puppy works. We're going to switch over modes for the actual gameplay, but let's just see. By the way, this is the Atari cartridge for Centipede. It's very unique shape. This is how the Atari soft cartridges came compared to, you know, the normal looking TI cartridge. So, and they're also sort of a pain already see to get in and out of the console. But here goes, guys. You ready? Oh! I don't know if it's picking up on the camera, but we do have liftoff here. There we go. We do have some liftoff. So we know that it's working. So let me switch to camera mode, get you in a better position for gaming. And yeah, what's it doing? It's going crazy. Sorry, guys. Let me switch to mode and get you in a better position for gaming. Some VIP seats, and we'll set it up and we'll go wild for the TI-99. This is our first chance to look at it. I'm excited. Let's go. Alright guys, hopefully we're set up here. We're going to give this a try. We got the CRT TV set up. I like how it actually recognizes the cartridge there for Centipede. So we're going to press 2. Now the colors may be a little bit off on this, off testing I've done so far. But hopefully you can get a good idea for the game. Centipede, like I said, is something that is sort of my gold standard for testing a console. So let's press enter here and see what we have. Okay, right off the bat, looks pretty good. Whoa, okay, we got the 5200 ColecoVision style huge spiders that move crazy. And really this whole game looks like it moves pretty fast for Centipede, starting off. Okay, got one Centipede down. Definitely a very loud game for Centipede. Oh, there's that huge spider. Oh my goodness, okay, yeah, the one reason the 5200 and the ColecoVision versions of Centipede aren't my favorites is the massive spider that's really hard to get away from sometimes on the game. In the arcade, the spider wasn't so huge, like the size of 3 of your elves with a bow or ships or whatever you're supposed to be in Centipede. The story changes throughout the years. Those spiders seems like they just aim directly at you. But they really don't bounce and move around like in the arcade version. There was a scorpion, so I'm guessing all the features are here. But wow, what a fast-moving game of Centipede. Yeah, it's definitely all there, and it looks okay. Looks a lot like the Atari 8-bit version, but better. We'll give it one more go. It looks and plays a lot better than the 8-bit version that Atari had for their computers. But definitely moves very fast for starting out in Centipede. The spiders are very annoying. But overall, appears to be a good challenging port. So far, the TI-99 looks promising. It's so fast I can't utilize any of my normal strategies I use for the arcade game. Anyways, that's enough of Centipede. Let's give a try to Parsec. You know, this is supposed to be the killer game. It's definitely a classic shooter that's well known in the classic shooter community as a side-scrolling horizontal shooter. Let's see here. We've never played this, so let's just see how we can do so. Press any key. Hard to do with a camera in front of my face. Let's see. I know it utilizes sound, so we've got the sound synthesizer hooked up. So let's see what happens here.
Press fire to begin. Alert.
Okay, here we go.
Craft advancing. Good shot.
So we've got fuel. Oh my goodness. Looks amazing.
Alien craft advancing. Laser on target. Alert. Ships attacking.
Okay, so you can thrust. Whoa. Reminds me a lot of Defender.
Alert.
Maybe Defender as a side-scrolling horizontal shooter. With different kinds of enemies.
Alien craft advancing.
Oh. Yeah, I'm terrible.
Alert. Alien craft advancing. Good shot. Good shot.
Thank you. I like my ship's computer.
Laser on target. Alert. Ships attacking. destroyed.
Oh, down we
Alert.
go.
Ships attack.
How many lives do we get on this game?
Enemy destroyed. Alert. Alien craft advancing.
Oh. The red one seems hard to get. Okay, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Parsec. I am impressed. How do we... let's check out our next game. What are we going to play? Super Mario Brothers? Hey, the coffee warmer is getting warm. No, the last game is one you guys will already know that I love on the Intellivision and on the Atari 2600. Just about anywhere this game is ported. And this one is interesting. It's Super Demon Attack. So I'm really interested in seeing this game. Alright, got some music. You guys ready? Wow. Okay, I can definitely... From the Intellivision version, the graphics are definitely looking really good here. Similar to the Intellivision version. You're on the surface of the moon or whatever with the earth in the background. Oh. But this is really different from the 2600 version or the Intellivision version. I'm also noticing that the background music actually changes. Whoa, flying squids! Space squids! Turn them into calamari. Laser fried calamari. This one has a good level of difficulty starting off here. Oh, we got a two-headed dragon, huh? Wow, this is actually pretty impressive. The shooting feels right on. And it does have auto fire, but you can't move while you shoot. I just noticed that. Oh, here we go. This one has a boss fight. Let's see what we're fighting. Whoa, a huge gargoyle. What are those, cobras? Oh, no. This is weird. Almost like the Intellivision version. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Holy smokes. Oh, did we get it? What was that? A Dracula head or a vampire head? An eyeball? Oh, that's a wild boss. It's a lot. The boss is similar to the Intellivision version. And now we're back to our monsters, but they seem to be firing more. I'll have to play this. That boss fight, there must be a pattern to it of how to hit that head where the eyeball's blocking it. Oh, these... But a beautiful version of... I'm really digging this. I am really digging this. So, Demon Attack on the TI-99 Super Demon Attack really is like a Super Demon Attack. This comes from years of playing Demon Attack. Oh, not that I've ever gotten any better over those years, but wow. They just turn it into a bullet hell, except the bullets aren't going slow. Oh, here we go again to the boss. What the? Whoa. Okay, that was wild. Anyways, guys, I know this video might not be mind-blowing or anything, but we got to test out the TI-99. We'll come back and do a better video for a review and such. This was just a sort of a fun thing, a first look. I'm so happy it hasn't caught fire, that it actually works, that we didn't spend money on something that I was going to have to get repaired or whatever. So I'm very happy, I'm very pleased, and I can't wait to dig into this library. I'll see you guys on the other side with a brand new episode shortly.